first up this week, we're going to review our emotional endurance assessment scores. So, Crimson, what do you got for us? How you doing?
Let's see, Lori, because honestly, I took the assessment and I didn't look at my own results. It looks like I'm down a little bit, and it's not too surprising, honestly, just because I'm feeling pretty depleted. If it's not in my voice, I'm exhausted. But let's see where optimism and resilience and self efficacy. Wow. Yeah. So I'm less optimistic, and as a result, I'm less resilient. That makes sense to me. Self-efficacy down, I can tell you why. I just don't want to. I remember answering the questions and it was obvious because I rewrote the survey and I was like, no, like I don't want to be better. I don't want to bounce back. I don't. So I would expect that to be lower. Environmental efficacy, I have had my nephew staying with me, which he's fine. There's nothing about him, but it's been stressful cleaning up after another kid and my sister's coming in town. And I feel like no one's pulling their weight and doing their job of maintaining. So that's not shocking either. As you know, Lori this week has thrown a lot of curveballs in terms of my bandwidth. So I'm not feeling very efficacious at the moment. And I think that's mostly to blame for my drop.
But your hope's up almost 2 points.
Why? I wonder. Maybe because once everyone leaves, once vacation's over, there's
Mm,
nothing on the schedule until school.
yeah. There's
Like
some hope for a break.
hope for a break. That's what it is. I think you nailed it. Hope for a break.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Let's see if yours are vibing with you.
No, I knew I would be down again. Yeah, I'm still going through it. It's just trauma. It's just trauma this week. I mean, being hurt doesn't help. My scores are like pretty all over the place. That self efficacy is low because I just don't feel good. My environmental efficacy is higher. My resilience is higher. Optimism is somehow higher, which I will take. I do think it's kind of like you is like, okay, well, I know that this period of time will pass. My hope is really low. It's because I'm just trauma. So I've been taking care of myself. I've been trying to, throw myself into things that feel exciting. But I think that's one of the hardest parts about trauma is that like often like things don't feel exciting. So that's where we're at.
Well, I hope this validates you in the sense that you have reason to not be firing on all cylinders. Your endurance is down, but it doesn't mean you can't build it back up.
Yeah, for sure. Next week will be a better week. And I mean, at least I'm at a 5.6. I think when we started doing these, I was at a 4 point something. So, I've definitely, yeah, you can see on my thing, I've definitely have made some progress and I'm not surprised that I'm down this week, but it sucks. I'm over it.
You're ready for those scores to go up. That's for
Yeah, I'm
sure.
ready for the scores to go back up and I'm ready to feel more like myself. I was telling Crimson before we hopped on to record today that like I do feel like I'm transitioning into a different mode. There's been a lot of stuff in my life over the last 2 years that have been a lot of like just trying to get through. And I think part of the reason it was so hard is I was trying to be someone or something that didn't actually align with my needs and my values and what I want. And I'm hoping that, part of what is making this week hard is I'm shedding some of that. I'm letting some of that go. I'm going to emerge better and probably not wearing hats, but hopefully with a new sense of identity.
I mean, that's such an important part of the life cycle, and that's how you build your endurance.
Yeah.
A lot of people go through these things and don't learn from them and don't grow from them, and they're just another moment of trauma and another thing to be angry about. I respect that you're processing it all. And it reminds me of our text message earlier this week when I told you about how my dream job had opened up, but now that I'm 43, I realize it's really just working in retail.
Mhm.
So it's not really my dream job. I
Yeah.
think it's so common when we follow our hearts and passions. I did it with campaign consulting. I was like, oh, I'm going to go do this. And they're like, you live out of a suitcase. You have to have like a home base. You fly all the time. I'm like, these don't align with my values or the lifestyle I want. And it's a harsh reality, especially when you know you could be good at it and you know that you could thrive at it. To shed that and let go of that and to be that honest with yourself is so hard. So good for you. But
Yeah.
it's almost like an exorcism. So you like kind of have to go through that process.
Right. Right. And we talked about this a little in last week's episode too. I think I was feeling pretty okay at the beginning of this challenging, historically challenging season for me. But I think your body just remembers stuff so much. And then you have difficulty sleeping, then you don't really feel good. You feel jittery and it just kind of all compounds, right? And so I've definitely been using my coping skills this week. I think if I hadn't been, I would be more like a 2 or 3 on the emotional
Right?
endurance index. So even though, this looks like probably a backslide, I actually think this is reflective of me doing the work and handling this much better than I have in the past. It is just still very uncomfortable and kind of painful. That's why we build the skills. That's why we talk about these things. That's why we share our experiences because I think a lot of times people do expect like at some point in time I'm just going to be over this.
Right.
And the truth is that particularly with trauma, particularly with some of these harder, more complex challenges that we deal with across our lifespan, they're cyclical.
Hmm.
There's a seasonality to them. I think we do ourselves a disservice by acting like they will just go away someday. I think it's much better to say, okay, like this is playing out in my life. This is the very real impact that it's having. It's helpful to see that. And I can't wait until I'm dot, 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 yachting somewhere. And my score is more like an 8 or a 9. Not that the yacht would do that, but, maybe.
Money does not buy happiness, but it sure makes being happy more fun. Let's just be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think this is a great week to talk about angst. It sounds like angst and letting
Yeah.
go are great topics for this week.
Absolutely.